Hey, Midlothian, guess what? We're back here in the Opoka Palace, the Cement City Chatter podcast. As always, Rob LaFleur here with our buddy John Opoka. What's going on, John?
What's happening? I've been secluded for the past month in my living room with 14 puppies.
Man, it's good to be back, though.
14 puppies.
14
We
puppies.
had 14 puppies.
It's more than a baker's dozen.
Yeah, this is the first time I sat in this chair in over a month.
I know, it's been a while. We've missed you guys out there in Midlothian and Ellis County. So, what's new? What's the talk of the town?
The talk of the town is the Opokas have 14 puppies, which would be ready at Christmas time. So we're your one-stop shop for all your Christmas
Get your
needs.
bids in.
Yes.
Spend your whole budget just like that.
The kids need a little French Bulldog puppy, and we have whatever you need.
That's good. That's good. Man,
all shitting aside, it's been fun, but I got a little bit of cabin fever, so I'm kind of ready to get out.
I mean, you guys run 24-hour shifts.
Yep. I run the night shift. My wife runs the day shift along with her office manager, and so I got customers calling me 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't answer.
Well, I learned real quick the first time I called at 9 o'clock in the morning. Hey, John, what's going on?
Call me after 1:30 and I'll be fully awake.
Yeah. I wait till 2 o'clock now, personally, but
literally, I'm up until, I get up at about 1 o'clock, 12 to 1 o'clock, and then I stay up until about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it's night time for me for a while. It'll be that way until after Christmas. And once we get through Christmas and the puppies are ready to flourish, and we don't have to worry about mama dog sitting on them and suffocating them. That's just my life right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big business actually. Yep. So
well, it's an
investment.
Yeah, it's more of a passion for us.
Oh, I know that, but it's you gotta. They take proper attention, and if you don't give that attention, then you lose a dog regardless of the monetary value. But
right. So what have you been up to?
Man, I've just been working.
I know the oil business is starting to pop a bit.
Yeah, it's oil business is back and running pretty good. Actually, we had a opportunity during COVID. Some of the operators out in the Permian Basin that we had dealt with in the past, a guy that was kind of a mentor to my partner and I, coming up in the oil business, decided to call it quits. So he had 3 oil leases out in Ector County, and we took those off of his hands. He gave us a pretty good deal on them. We did some rework and made about 12 oil wells real quick. So
nice.
Yeah.
So
that's tough.
Is this a Biden I did that thing?
It's just like anything.
Why is it so good right now?
Well, I mean, first of all, natural gas always gets higher in the winter as far as, the market price goes. I don't know. To be honest with you, if you look at history as far as the time I've been in the oil business, it just seems like when you've got, incompetence in office, the oil prices go up. I mean, you guys, a couple guys sitting to my left that we'll introduce here in a minute probably know a little bit more about that than I do, but that's just my theory. You take the good with the bad, and right now oil and natural gas prices are up, and we can make $1. So that's what we're doing. So I've been busy doing that back and forth to West Texas. But
so you see all this construction going on. How do you feel about that?
Man, I'll tell you, I'm pretty curious about what's going on behind your house.
I know Walnut Grove is going to blow up.
What is this development behind Walnut Grove? And I guess it goes, where Ennis Business Forums is?
It goes all the way back past Whataburger on 287. Answer me this question. Okay, we spend millions of dollars in over a year worth of headache and traffic at the Walnut Grove overpass.
Yeah.
Not only to open up an exit to a major development that's brewing right there between Ellis Buildings and Whataburger.
Yeah, where the Whataburger is.
So
down there on 287.
So we had this light here, Walnut Grove. All these people died because people would run the red light. So now we're going to an uncontrolled 3,000 plus home, which means, realistically, there's probably going to be 4,000, 5,000 cars.
Right.
Because how many people just have one car? It's kind of rare. So, probably close to 5,000 to 6,000 cars that are going to exit that neighborhood daily
Yeah.
in 2 spots, on Walnut Grove and right there on 287 between Whataburger and Ellis buildings.
I mean, it's hard enough pulling out of there and coming back into town, much less
Yeah.
heading towards Waxahachie.
Yeah, and then they're going to be trying to go across to go to Waxahachie or to the Sonic or to the medical centers across the street. I mean, who's in charge of the roadway development and stuff? I mean, that wasn't thinking, in my opinion, because you got people coming over that overpass at 80, 90 mile an hour, which is, MPD is not doing anything to control it. Hardly anything.
Yeah.
I mean, all that overpass did. I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad we're done with the light at Walnut Grove. But now we have the Indianapolis 500. We have people running 90 to 100 mile an hour through what we call the meat grinder.
Well, I'd be curious if they have any plans of infrastructure, personally on that, on the table for that plan.
I think they need to get rid of that cut through for one, and okay, let's put up another light. Well, what kind of problems is that going to create? I mean, there's no way to. This is a bad recipe fixing.
I can't imagine that.
bad.
What's the guy that Keith, the CEO of Ennis? He's I'm surprised he didn't have. And he may have. I don't know. I haven't reached out to him and talked to him, but there's something to say about that.
He killed the proposed coffee shop.
Yeah,
so why
did.
would he want the traffic going through there?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't want Dustin Slayton's coffee shop. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, he hired Dan Gus to fight that.
Yeah, he did.
Damn good lawyer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, Midlothian and Ellis County, sitting next to me are a couple guys you may recognize or soon to recognize. We got a couple guys running for office here. Mr. Rick Ridgeway running for County Commissioner, Precinct 4.
That's correct.
And I know you know this guy, Mr. Lewis Ponder. How you guys doing today?
Good. How about you?
Oh, pretty good.
So remind us what Lewis is running for.
Lewis is running for Justice of the Peace.
Precinct 4.
Precinct 4, and that's here in Midlothian.
Here in Midlothian.
Guys.
Yes, sir.
So I guess we'll start with you, Lewis. So tell us a little bit about yourself and, what brought you to the table to, run for Ellis County Justice of the Peace Precinct 4.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short.
You don't have to.
Okay, so born and raised, well, not born in Midlothian, but raised here. Got here as quick as I could. I was 9 years old when I got here. My family's been here since the 1890s, something like that. So I grew up here, walking the streets, Mount Zion Road, and out in that area, hanging out there, carrying a shotgun. So funny story, and I'll try to make this quick, but I was had my dad's 12-gauge shotgun. I was probably 13, and I was walking some of the fields, and I was walking down Mount Zion, which right in front of where the driveway is to where our property, where we live now, and a sheriff drove by, and he stopped, and he backed up. He rolled down his window and saw me carrying this shotgun over my shoulder. He said, what you doing with that gun? I said, I done a little squirrel hunting. He goes, you get anything? I got a few. All right, take care. And he just drove off.
Yeah.
Can you imagine today?
No, absolutely
A 13-year-old kid walking down the road with a 12-gauge shotgun? They call it SWAT team.
Oh, that never happened.
It would be nuts.
Yeah. No, that would never happen. So,
well, my son had an AR-15 lookalike airsoft gun.
oh yeah, I've got a couple at my house too.
Yeah, the cops were called on him once, and he just didn't understand what the problem was. I said, well, son, you're running down the street with an AR-15 looking rifle. It looks 100% authentic. Yeah.
So
they're going to call on
literally, John, I've got my kids last Christmas, their grandmother got them airsoft AR, and I'm telling you, Rick, Lewis, these guns, they're metal. They're literally, I think literally what they did was they took legit AR-15 lowers, and on the upper just had them transition to shoot airsoft BBs rather than a 223 or 5.56 bullet. So they're absolutely real. I mean, looking, you wouldn't know.
Yep.
You wouldn't know. So anyways,
so you're running for Justice of the Peace Precinct 4.
Yeah. So anyway, lived here, pretty much all my life. Always been kind of paid attention to politics. I enjoy, paying attention to it, but I never was really into, anything. I didn't do anything politically until the city of Midlothian decided they wanted to annex my property and all our neighbors.
Which is how most people that have never met you know you, from just your social media presence.
Yeah. And so when that happened, there wasn't anything I could do at the time until a bill passed in the state house that allowed us to petition for a vote to stop the forced annexation. So that's when I started working that petition. We needed 9,000 signatures. We got 13. Did it in just almost exactly 6 months it took us to get those signatures. Got that passed. We got initiative on the ballot to vote for it. That initiative passed 87-13. And from from ours and some other counties doing theirs, that stemmed another bill in the House that outlawed forced annexation statewide. And so that's what kind of got me thinking, okay, I can make a difference. And that's what everybody needs to understand is you can make a difference, but you have to get out there and you have to stomp your feet and
Right.
walk the ground. You can't talk about it.
So as a justice of peace, how can you influence or how can you change the outcome of those situations?
So as just the peace, I won't be able to affect that so much, but for just the peace, I mean, my idea is I'd like to serve the people and be able to make sure that everyone is treated equally, under the law. If they come in for a small claims case or if there's an eviction notice, I want to make sure that that someone's not evicted unnecessarily. I also want to make sure that a property owner's not stuck having to have someone on his property forever, too.
Right.
It'll have to go along the law, and I have no reason to believe that the other JPs haven't been following the law, too, but I think I can do a pretty good job at that. And small claims court, hear people's cases. If someone comes to me and says, hey, this guy cheated me out of car repairs, and, this guy owes me money, and they bring it to me, show it to me, and I'll take a look at the cases and decide which way it goes and render a judgment.
So based on law, I mean, how do you get the qualifications to be able to make those choices or those decisions?
There's really not a lot because this is considered the people's court. So it's not like a district court judge or a criminal court judge. This is kind of set up to where the idea is to have a layman doing the judging for the layman's in there in court. So,
right.
We're all just, it's me and you, and you're telling me that he screwed you, and y'all are showing me your case, and I decide, well, you know what?
Then it comes down to the law.
I think one of you owes the other one some money, or however it works out, or
Right.
maybe neither one of you owes anything, depending on how it falls down.
Yeah.
So, if elected, I'll have to go through some training. I think I can't remember what it is, 24 hours they could refer to as 24 hours of training each year for the first 2 years, or 10 hours after that. I'd have to go back and look at the books.
Right. Uh-huh.
But that'll be educating me on how all this works. On top of that, I'll be doing inquests. So that's probably going to be the least favorite part of the job. Well, it's definitely going to be the least favorite part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and having to go out to the accident scenes too.
Yeah,
that
will be the inquest.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the
Oh yeah, I did read that the other day. I was reading. I just kind of a simple Google question of what an actual just the peace does, and that is act as medical examiner in the absence of
right. Yeah.
A city that doesn't have a coroner, I guess.
Yeah. To kind of a not full medical examiner. I mean, it can still end up going to the coroner's office, and I believe that Ellis County sends them to the Dallas coroner. But you still have to make some judgment
and do the pronouncement of
and you have to give some cause. You don't want to go up there and go, yeah, it looks like they had a heart attack, and then they look and there's 3 bullet holes in the chest.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to look at them and
COVID. Your job just got real easy.
Yeah, everything's COVID. I'll just call it COVID.
Yeah. Anyways, well, let's bring Rick in here. Rick, how are you doing? Rick's running for Ellis County Commissioner Precinct 4.
Yes, sir. Sure am.
So tell us, before we get into what prompted you to jump in this race and throw your hat in, and your ability to, affect change, I'm curious because I think a lot of people out there, they don't realize or know exactly what a county commissioner does.
And we don't really know what area the precinct 4 covers either, do we?
Well, we actually do, but the last time I looked on the Ellis County map, the government website map, they had pulled down map A.
There was
which
some
is-
confusion or something.
Well, the map that has been adopted for 2022 would be map A1. Now I do have copies of that and can get them, but I was looking on the other day just at as a cursory look and see if they were still there, just to reference. They weren't, but we had some lines redrawn during redistricting. Every 10 years, we redistrict according to the census.
Is this the 10th year?
Yes.
Okay.
The census. We have census comes out 10 years, whether it's the state of Texas or everybody falls here in Ellis County, state, and we've heard state redistricting, but here in Ellis County, so we had just like the JPs and constables had a redistricting map, and so did the commissioners. And as far as county commissioners, what the responsibility, mainly what most people know is responsibilities for roads and bridges. That's, what most people think of when they think of county commissioners. Yes, that is a part of their job. And there are some counties, and you can, I would advise everybody to look up maybe the road unit system. It's something that will kind of tweak my mind before. I've had conversation, and that can go on later. But anyway, our county is where the commissioners are responsible for roads and bridges.
So would you have any influence on this brilliant decision to dump a 3,000 neighborhood right on 27?
You would have to look at it, but most things are going to be deferred TxDOT. I mean, just like everything's TxDOT.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that, commissioner probably couldn't step in and say, hey, we want to advocate for this. We will see what the TxDOT engineers do. The county's going to be involved in some way. I don't have that privilege on that. But
generally, TxDOT only responds until there's a certain percentage of deaths within a year or so.
Probably so, and that's what we've heard. But I've been in meetings with the TxDOT engineer whenever they were going to widen some places. This was years back, and they're like any other government bureaucratic agency. They're present somebody out, and if the people have enough. I guess, cause that they can actually make some change. And I think that's what, as far as it goes, but moving past the roads and bridges end of it, the commissioners, to me, the most important part is they do the general business of the county.
Does that include budget?
Yes. Well, the county judge is going to come up with the budget, and then the departments are, filter that in as far as like what they do. But the county judge is actually responsible for the budget. But I'm talking about, if there's
That'd be Todd Little? He's the judge right now?
Yeah, he would be responsible for it. And then under that, each commissioner is going to have budgets for what they do. Okay. But, the tax rate for the county tax rate, that's set, just like we've gone through before. Again, just the general business of the county as, let's say there's a vacancy like what happened, if y'all remember the tax assessor collector.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that, and I'm opinionated on that as well.
Anyway, the point it was to basically show commissioners will appoint off of someone that's left office there to fulfill that portion until there's election. Commissioners have 56 pages worth of line items in the summary that they have a lot of power. Yeah. And it's how they utilize that power that affects your life every single day. And I've been involved for many years, most of it for, I'd say, influencing under the radar for a lot of years because I was very effective doing that. You've seen a lot of my work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a lot of good resources that I use. I have some proprietary information that I use and research and provide. As far as it goes, the commissioners, though, affect your daily life. And as we have seen here over this last redistricting, and that was the catalyst of what got me in because I was just, I was effective at what I did. I was effective in influencing. I'm current Precinct 146 chair of the Republican Party and GOP. I'm actively involved and have been for a number of years.
Real quick, is the commissioner's race? Is it a partisan race? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so it is.
Absolutely.
It's not like
it is
the city council.
It is a
Midlothian and-
definition political race. Everybody declares under a candidacy of R, I, green, whatever.
What about the JP race? Is that
Same.
partisan as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, every commissioner up here is a Republican.
Yep.
And I'm a member of the Republican Party, and you know, I've done a lot of things on the Republican Party and have been active for a number of years and participate actively. And that's where most of the voters wouldn't know, because as you've seen, a lot of the things that I do intentionally just made it under the radar because I felt like more influence and better. As Lewis can tell you some of the things, or somebody else, that I try to network people together and what their causes are and try to make it to where they would have a platform that they could get their agenda across to the correct people.
So do you see a deficiency in the precinct at this time, that
As far as
in the precinct at this time, whether it be the current commissioner or some things that you think that
I'm
that
running-
you being elected will add to?
Absolutely. As far as my experience, and if you want to go back just to roads and bridges,
Yep.
is my resume. I was the youngest person ever to serve on the City of DeSoto Zoning and Planning Committee at the age of 18. Now, that doesn't mean anything, but I did it.
Yeah.
And then as I was an FHA inspector, a fee inspector, Federal Housing Administration, I was approved by HUD. I was on the CHUBS list, meaning approved for inspections, and I make a joke out of it. It's not that far off, but I was approved in 2000 for that. And there was only 223 inspectors in the state, and you had to jump through a lot of hoops to get there. And that was like the last hoop that I had to jump through we don't see a lot of zoning, or we don't see this. I'm like, I remember this. I went, dug them up in the City of DeSoto, turned it in. They gave me my HUD number, and I was at that point in time. So anyway, there was 223 inspectors. I said half of them were dead. The other half didn't know what they were doing. So that left us with about 2 or 3, and I ended up training some. I ended up getting into interpreting Federal Registry. Did rural property within 200-mile radius of Ellis County, really, and over and under manufactured modular homes specifically was where my specialty was, and had that up until 2008, whenever the landscape changed at that
Right.
point in time.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, but that's as far as qualifications, as far as very familiar with engineering reports and what engineers do, and using the terms of appears, should, would, as you may know in the oil business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And seeing. Anyway, as far as that goes, yes, I believe but the most thing I believe, as far as like my participation in the Republican Party of Ellis County and what I have done, and along with the ideas that I bring in, that I've argued in front of that commissioner's court numerous times, including in redistricting, including against COVID shutdown. And, that I believe that I would be better and have a much better temperament to handle, I think, what our conservative base is here in Ellis County. And that's why I'm a member of the Republican Party and what I've done. And again, I never cared about getting credit for anything, still don't. But when this gentleman over here, Lewis, we were talking redistricting, and it looked like we'd heard that he was going to be drawn out of Precinct 4. And I put together some materials and went up and testified in front of Commissioner's Court, along with a lot of other people. And Lewis looked at me after they voted 3-2 to draw him out of the precinct. He goes, "You running?" And I looked at him like, probably give me 10% crawfish room. And,
Right. Yeah.
and so went in and thought about it, because I really like my autonomy. I like being independent, and I've been that way since 2000. Whenever I got very actively involved, and as far as here in the Republican Party, probably in Ellis County over the last 5-6 years.
How many Is it just the precinct 4 that's up for?
4 and 2. That would be Lane Grayson and 2.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you mentioned they were trying to draw you out of it. I mean, was it a political move or was that just a repositioning of power?
Well, I don't think you would call it a repositioning of power. What it did, because of the fact, whenever the redistricting takes place, it's supposed to go on the commissioners, not on JP and the other. I want to make clear that on commissioners' precinct or the boundaries of what they do, they have to go on population. And you have to try to get it within a 10% deviation according to your attorneys and the county's attorneys, and they try, we were there for all that.
So what's the point of redrawing the district lines?
To make sure that 10%.
The population is represented accordingly.
Okay.
So that's why we do it every 10 years.
Gotcha.
So whenever we went in, and we actually had a map that only deviated 5% off the previous maps, and we actually were lauded by the attorneys from the NAACP for the other administration that had put in, saying, we did a really good job of following that. And then they come up and say, oh, that we weren't. So, but putting it in that deviation of I believe it's 5.8%, somewhere in there. It's about 5% deviation of the populace. Well, then they come in with another map, excuse me.
Okay.
They came in with another map. And this map just so happened to draw out Mount Zion Road through Plainview. I mean, the whole district. And so that's where the map A, map B controversy came in, and we had a lot of folks testify on that. And so it's legal to do. I mean, it's basically legal.
Let me guess, it put him in precinct 3.
Yeah, he put him in precinct 3. But I mean, it's legal to do. It's legal to gerrymander an individual. It's not legal to gerrymander a group of people on, systemic or racial lines. That's something you can't do. But politically, and it's been decided at the Supreme Court even several years back that, hey, it's legal, but do I consider it having virtuous? Was it better for the county? We're going to have to deal with that again in 10 years. And at that point in time, since we've done this, I really don't know what that's going to look like in 10 years from now.
Right.
So anyway.
So how's your, aside from the commissioner that you're obviously running against, your relationship with the other commissioners there in commissioners?
I know them all, and
I've reached out to them all. The only one that gave me the time of day is Paul Perry, who is a very nice guy.
Yeah,
very good guy.
Every one of them I've talked to, including Kyle. I think a road guy. I think Kyle Butler's done, from what I can tell, at least. I mean, he's working on my street right now. I don't have any issues with him.
Right.
But I think we have some philosophical differences in the way we approach things, especially whenever we go for the last few years. It's what's happened in the county, and I think that I would represent the better of the choices for more conservative voters, and that's I didn't see anybody else there that I thought I just needed to step up to the plate and get out of my area. Look, I've done it all as far as promoting this county, and that's what I do. I promote the county. I promote our party. I do the things that you should do to grow. And I've always been a positive person. Lewis will tell you, we were sitting in court that day, and so they're going to do the right thing. They're going to do I'm telling you, Liz, they're going to do the right thing. They're not going to, we presented the case, others presented the case. And when it came out, we were told by one of the commissioners, and I asked him, why did you do it? Why did you do it? Because it was legal.
Yeah.
That was the answer.
Well, I'd imagine anybody that's followed you on social media will know that if you work in your elected position like you do on social media, steadfast, resolute, and unwavering, then they've got the right guy. And where can we find you? You've got a social media page dedicated to your campaign.
Yes, it'd just be Rick Ridgeway for Ellis County Commissioner, Precinct 4.
Precinct 4.
You can look at that. And I still run my regular social media page under, and it's for family and friends mainly. I've always been a private person, but now I'm outside of that. I'm outside of that realm. No more autonomy.
Well, that's how I found out you're a Haggerty representative.
Yeah.
You did say that. Like, I need to talk to him about my Corvette.
Yes, I did. I need some insurance.
I got some great cars that I covered, a lot of great people, and I do that basically. A lot of mine are Vietnam veterans and veterans that it means a lot to me because of what they went through, and I can give back and promote their stuff. And a lot of great cars and a lot of great people in this county that I really love. And that's kind of secondary of what I'm currently doing. But yeah, that's a passion of mine, just to help those guys.
That's awesome. So, Lewis, I got a question.
Yeah.
If elected JP Precinct 4, what kind of time is this a full-time job? How does it work? Like our city councilmen, they have a couple meetings a month and some workshops and whatnot. Justin Kaufman, he's been on the show and he explains, even what what they get paid per meeting and whatnot. As far as being justice of the peace here in Midlothian for this precinct, is this something a 9 to 5, or how does for the people out there that don't know?
So Justice of the Peace is considered a part-time job, but Precinct 4 is pretty huge.
Yeah.
And so at least at first, it's going to be treated as a full-time job for me. I'll probably definitely be putting in 40 hours a week, if not 50 or 60, just because I want to make sure I really understand everything about it, and I want to make sure things are done right. If it works out to where I've got more time on my hands where I don't have to be in there 40 hours a week, then I may not. But it is considered a part-time job, so you can have another job on top of that job. But that'll be my primary thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just, it's ironic to me. Well, not ironic wouldn't be the word, but how these various positions, they take, people's time and whatnot. And I guess I assume that precinct judge, was more, like you said, more of a full-time.
Yeah.
A full-time deal. What about the commissioner's court? I mean, as far as
they're allowed to have other businesses. I know throughout, if I was fortunate enough to be elected, it's going to be my total dedication and the people that know the research and the things that I've done. I'll take that very same proprietary information research and what I've done throughout the years to uncover facets of any type. And I think I'd make a big difference on that. And I want to run on some things that I think transparency wise, I believe that we should have a commissioner's court in the evening for at least one per month that public would be able to attend.
they don't have that right now?
No. And as a matter of fact, we had, in the last election, we had a county judge ran on that. They brought it up and it got voted down 3-2. I will bring it up again. And I think we need at least one. It wouldn't be, as I was talking to a few people though, the first Tuesday of the month is our Ellis County GOP meeting. So and typically our commissioners courts are on Tuesdays, but they could be arranged where, depending on what the budget's, I'm talking to the treasurer and how it would affect payroll wise. I just think that needs to be available if the public wants to come. And I've been in that commissioner's court numerous times. And, of course, going to our historic courthouse, to me, you go back in history and you just think of what's happened in there in this county. And you as a private citizen can make a difference. You can get up and it has. We're going to lose some battles and we're going to lose some issues, but, overall, I'm telling you, it makes a difference when you show up. And it did whenever we showed up after the stay home, stay safe policy. And I was there every single commissioner's court. I was there every time testifying to keep this county open, that people were responsible enough.
Yep.
And when I had information and I was approached by one of the officials afterwards, after it was all said and done, said, "Rick, you're right." And, it makes a difference. And I know it becomes, now that I've entered this arena, it becomes now everybody takes a look into me. Before I was organizing, trying to get people to help out on this cause. And I think that's where one of the differences is. It's what I view as a commissioner. You have the role as, one of the things is to protect the public, of course, but I don't look at it as a police type role. I look at it as I'm going to protect your rights.
Right.
Your individual and inalienable rights are what I'm going to be looking for to protect on any issue. And yes, I'd say it, if anything, God forbid, anything ever happened again, some other disaster, who would have thought 2 years ago that something like this would ever happen?
Oh, absolutely.
I wouldn't. That was one thing I'll tell you. You don't shut down the county or country for anything. Period. That's the way I would vote.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody at this table, including Lewis over here, agrees.
Yep.
So when is the election, the actual election?
March 3rd, I think. March 1st,
Yeah, I
and
think-
then early voting will be, I don't know when early voting will be, but it'll be, I'm sure,
Probably the 2 weeks prior.
I think probably a little
Maybe
more
3.
than that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then and I think there's 3 people now that have entered in the commissioner. I know Commissioner Butler has, and I believe, I think his name is Dennis over at Dennis DeWeird at Ellis
Dennis
County.
DeWeird?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that he filed. So I think there's 3 of us right now, and I don't know if anybody
I didn't know.
else is.
I'm surprised I hadn't heard about Dennis throwing his name
I
in the
haven't heard
hat.
about him at all.
No.
He was 2 doors down from me. It surprised me, but
Well,
so as far as I wanted to ask you this, and Lewis, you too. I mean, and this doesn't necessarily pertain to each one of you guys' individual elections, but as far as Ellis County, the GOP Republican Party, we just got Brian Harrison elected.
Yep.
Looks like he's off to a running start. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
I mean, that guy, I every time I message him on Facebook, just a private message, he was responding within, literally nothing longer than 30 minutes. And this is a guy who's running a big campaign against an opponent with, some big money, at his disposal. And for that guy to just literally be for the people like he was is what, really impressed me in the whole situation. But just specifically, what's his name? And I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Beto or Beto?
Robert Francis.
Robert Francis.
Robert Francis O'Rourke. Yeah.
Nat just announced he's going to run for governor,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. That's that brings back great memories.
I know.
Well, I think you were there at the Midlothian Conference Center, our day of early voting. Were you there?
Which one?
When Ted Cruz was running against Beta or Robert Francis.
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't?
No,
thought
I
you
was
were.
not. Nope, I was not there that day. I remember. I know where you're going. I remembered it. Didn't he show up there?
Oh, yeah. And it was, I think it was probably one of the funnest. We had heard that he was going to have, well, actually, I had uncovered it about a week or two
Well,
ago.
didn't he have? He spoke or did some
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah, he had a
Well,
rally
was,
there.
He was supposed
right.
to be inside the building while we were voting.
Somebody brought him in. Not going to say
Well,
who.
I'm just saying that didn't happen though.
Butch's
because-
buddy. Butch's buddy brought Beto into the conference center that time.
My buddies are in this room.
But that didn't happen because there was a lot of people that we knew that hadn't voted yet, and they hadn't made up their mind, and we thought it would be really good to go to the Midlothian Conference Center that day that Mr. O'Rourke came out and exercised the right to vote. And of course, he had a line stretched out for people that were there for his rally. But, I had a lot of people we talked to.
Yep.
And they went in and they were having a difficult time voting. And
I heard you see more people at a Butch Bryant concert than you did out there at that Beto line.
well, I'll be honest with you. There was a lot of folks there that he had gathered. Don't know where they came from, but they were there. But we were still in there. There was a lot of our friends in there voting. and you know, it just happened to run over Beto's time before he had to go in and they just couldn't get through voting. So he had to move outside by the dumpster with a bullhorn with his people to.
So, as strong conservatives, when I mean, did you have a feeling he was going to announce already, or when that happened? I mean, what was your conservative gut, thought process about how this is going to shake out? We've got several people now, not just Governor Abbott, running for re-election and whatnot, and there's a couple of good ones, but I personally think Beto announcing that he's running for governor kind of throws a little bit of wrench in our thunder a little bit.
Do you?
I really do.
What do you think, Lewis?
I don't know. I don't see a lot coming out of him.
You take any Republican candidate in the primaries, and they can beat the Beto guy.
I would
think so.
expect so.
I mean, he's already. I think he's had his 15 minutes of fame, and I think that he's basically.
He's a two-time loser.
Yeah, I was actually going to try to go there, but I just see a lot of opportunities for a lot of good jokes and memes.
Yeah, that'll happen. But that brings me to my point, and that's voter participation. I've been preaching this for 2 years now.
If you don't vote,
you
you
have
can't bitch
to
about
get
it.
out and vote. Here in Midlothian, that when these elections are over, I look and I say, okay, the mayor won by 400 votes out of a total of 1,000 people. How many? What's our population here in Midlothian now? 45,000? 48,000?
Yeah.
I mean, the percentage of people that are voting in these elections are less than 10% of the citizenship, and they've just got to get out and vote, or
If you don't vote this next election, this is going to probably one of the most important elections in our recent history. Our lives as Texans will change drastically if you don't get out and vote.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it.
Do you love your rights to carry? I mean, there's a lot of stuff because we know the way he looks at it, and
No, he's already told us he'll take him.
Yeah,
well, he'll try.
Yeah,
tariffs on Dr. Pepper and outlaw barbecue.
Did you see that interview? Or did you see that video where that gentleman in Houston approached him? The Spanish gentleman.
Recently?
Yes,
No,
it
I
was
didn't.
this week. Look at my Facebook. I shared it. Their supporters are so rude. I mean, they carry whistles. So they drowned out the people that are opposing their candidate. That's all they do is blow their whistle. Well, I'll give them something to blow.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll take my truck down there with the train horn. We'll see who can blow louder.
well, you saw what happened the last time
Yeah.
the caravan rolled through the state of Texas. they went straight through. So, yeah, we'll see. Well, I'm really excited about the both of you guys run for your positions. I know that you guys are both known in Ellis County as good, strong conservatives with brilliant minds, and
And we do
whatnot.
appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come talk with us. And
Anytime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and
So-
our door is always open. If you have anything you want to discuss, just let us know.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it. I mean, this is what I'm going to be doing is meet and greets. And now that I have to get out and do it because
You got anything set up? Yeah,
I've got a few things in the works. I do. And, we'll keep that a little bit to ourselves at this point.
Yeah, I know Butch had mentioned a few upcoming possible meet and greets.
So
for-
once I get everything on schedule wise and with our folks, I'm really looking forward to it because again, I know most people outside of a very close circle really don't know who I am or what I've done inside the party and my involvement in Ellis County, not just the party, but the promotion of the county. And I'm really looking forward to it because it's kind of like taking the next step where again been comfortable for a lot of years influencing and was very effective.
yeah.
But it's been unfortunately.
Well, you got a lady or two out there that will make sure everybody knows who you are. does a real good job here in Ellis County.
I'll say this. Let me just back up this, and I'll tell you, it's not about me. It is a grassroots effort, and this will be grassroots. This is not going to be easy, and we've got a lot of folks that have put in a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears over the last 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I'm very appreciative of the people that I've had, and I've had an outpouring of support from that grassroots level that I didn't know was there, because again, it's easy to do it from the outside. If something didn't go my way, I could always pick my junk up and go home, and
right,
and it's just like everybody else, but I always had a plan of action, always did. And now, though, it's the other way. I mean, I've got to open myself up for criticism. Regardless of what happens, there's going to be people they're not going to be satisfied with what I do. And I have to, come into grips with that, and having the temperament to deal with it is what you want to try to come across, and what you work at all your life to do to maybe go to that next step. And it's just like sitting across here from Lewis. One of the proudest moments of my life was helping this man and what we did. I believe when we stopped and when we passed HB 347, it stopped forced annexation from the cities. It was the most important property rights law in the state of Texas. And maybe, I can't remember. I don't even know if there's anything to compare it to.
Right.
I mean, my property that sits, got a development going right behind me. Guess what? It's the city. I was next. This man stepped up after he had already been engulfed and said he didn't want anybody else to have that. So standing behind him and fighting that, and one of the great things about that was it wasn't really a partisan type deal. It wasn't just a, quote, GOP Republican. This was about people and their properties and protecting them. And so, as I told Lewis, whenever he decided to do what he did, I mean, I was going to go to bat for him, because I mean, to me, he's a legend in this county.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I agree.
I don't feel that way, but thank you.
I agree. I'll never forget the first time I asked somebody on Facebook. I was like, okay, I'm getting into it with A, B, and C, and then who's this Lewis Ponder guy? And then, he's the guy that got annexed and led the charge, and that's when I first this a few years back, but you're definitely a legend in that aspect, and known for that. So we can find Rick at Rick Ridgeway for
Ellis County
Commissioner, Precinct 4.
Yes.
And Lewis, I'm sure you've got a page set up, or will have one.
It's set up, Lewis Ponder for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to their Facebook pages, make sure you like those, and that way you can keep up with all their meet and greets. And if you haven't met Rick or Lewis, you can get out to one of their meet and greets that's coming up here pretty soon, and get out there and meet them and shake their hand and sit and talk with them and find out what they're here to do for you. And because that's what they're here to do, is to serve the community of Ellis County in both of the regards, that positions that they're running for, and keep our backbone strong. That's the most important thing.
Yep.
Hey, thank y'all this is great having what y'all are doing.
Yep. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and I know that there's other people that do it too, and we need more and more, because guess what? 5 turns into 10 to 100. You were talking about the vote, and at 20% of the people that show up, guess what? That means if you're voting for, your vote counts for 5 people.
Right.
No, it does. And that's the point. There's just so many people out there that don't get out and vote that would otherwise cast a vote that could be very, very important to their personal beliefs, but then gripe and complain and moan when things don't go their way. Look, I mean, we live in a county that, we live in a conservative community. That's the fact. There's no reason why we should have to be in a state of Texas. Let's encompass it as a state of Texas. There's no reason we should have to be my concern of what happens if the governor race doesn't go our way. But it takes everybody to get out there and vote and exercise your right to vote. That's
Well, y'all are important.
That's what being American is about, is able to vote and put your people in office and/or take them out.
Yep.
Yeah, and go back to the governor's race. There's a lot of out-of-state influences behind him, and it's to their best interest to turn Texas, because Texas is a major player in the political arena, and as long as we're red, they don't get to what they want. So, he's got a lot of California, he's got a lot of New York people behind him. And, we're going to think that we're being defeated, but you got to remember those voices are loud, and that's all they are. They're just voices. They're just white noise in the background.
But they are.
And so we just got to not get discouraged and say, we know what's right, and be a Texan. True Texans know what's right at their heart, and they're going to vote with their heart, and they're going to do the right thing.
Well, we've seen outside money come into even our local elections here, and
we saw how that failed on her.
Try to influence an election, and it didn't work. But it may one day. So we just, like I said, only way to ensure that is get out and vote.
Yep. Got to stay on top of the people and make sure they know to go vote. See, sadly, you have to remind them over and over and over again. You have to remind them or they won't go. I mean, I've had people say, I didn't even know we had an election this week. Really? I mean, where have you been?
It's funny because and I run a few Facebook pages, John and I do, but then, there's also other pages, and sometimes, the community social media pages, and they'll start saying, okay, no political post. Well, I thought about on one of our pages saying, okay, no political post, but just sign in, hit the check mark that you've already voted, and we'll make sure you don't see it, filter it to where you don't see it. But until you vote, we're going to drive this down your throat.
I had to choke out some of those posts on one of our pages, because it just got to the point where we were losing good folks because they got tired of every post being someone's political agenda. Okay, I get it. I'm going to limit how much is allowed.
Yeah, but hindsight.
But every hour is not acceptable.
No, you're right. But hindsight, that the people that were doing that. I mean, and one of them won a big election, and he was just working his ass off. Is what he was doing.
Yeah.
So, but. You can't please everybody. You never will. You guys know that.
That's right. Yeah. Half the people's going to be mad at you. The other half's going to love you.
Exactly.
So.
Well, gentlemen, we really appreciate your time, and feel free to reach out to us if you have anything to say. We'll give you the format to speak your piece.
Shout out to our boy DV LeBron. We're back, baby.
DV.
Hey, DV.
We beat you on this one, buddy.
I'm sure you'll be getting a phone call real soon.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
No, he's a good buddy of ours. He actually was here for our very first show.
Yeah, so. DV's a great guy. He is.
Yeah, he's a good friend of ours. Well, anyway, guys, we'll see you next week. Peace.
Love you, Midlothian.
Have a happy
Ellis County. We're
happy
out.
holidays.